Bom dia, você que acompanha o canal de Jorge Videofilmes. Estamos aí acompanhando a transmissão ao vivo do Festa de Balão nos Estados Unidos. Estamos acompanhando aí a transmissão deste evento maravilhoso direto dos Estados Unidos, né? A belíssima festa do balão que acontece todos os anos. Você acompanha aqui com a gente ao vivo. Vamos aí acompanhando essa festa, espetáculo de balões. Você acompanha ao vivo aqui com a gente. Estamos com alguns problemas técnicos, né, de áudio, e daqui a pouco você vai acompanhar aí as imagens ao vivo dessa festa e daqui a pouco áudio ao vivo do evento.
Now is coming up over the Sandias, because now you can beat right now on the ground. Our officials tower is nice, still a bit in the shade because we have a building that we're on top of, and it has a slightly high-rise roof next to us. We're on a balcony here on the rooftop studio, so it takes a bit longer for the sun to actually get to us, but it is certainly lighting up the field out in front of us. There go the Hartzell family, Rhett, Lucas, and Father Joe Hartzell. Joe is a 5-time national champion, past world champion. Rhett Hartzell just won the national championship again this year. That is his, I believe it's his 3rd national championship. It's been held, I believe, out in the west, up in Nebraska. Rhett is also a past world champion. And you can see Pat Foden there now in the ITS, the IMTS balloon. Is that International Manufacturing Technology something? Yeah, I should know that. But at any rate, Pat's here in the IMTS balloon.
So now that the sun has managed to hit the field here, look what's happened to our wind direction.
It's changed again.
It has slowed down. It has gotten a more turn to the west. Southwest.
So we still have a nice box. The balloon's climbing up and moving back. Our balloon's down on the surface, launching and moving, as Art says, more to the west. They're moving kind of northeast to southwest now, but as they climb just a few hundred feet, they do get a nice box back across the top of the field.
And there's many altitudes where you can just park up there as well.
And just sit and wait.
Yeah. So I've seen a number of balloons come back around for the 3rd or 4th time. Out there,
Bass Pro last night down in sponsor prior to our balloon blow, and very excited to have them here. Bass Pro also owns Cabela's, by the way, and
our chair.
I was sharing with the marketing lady last night that we enjoy these wonderful course at a time, sitting and talking, and and doing that in just a folding chair or one of those plastic lawn chairs or something. It really isn't very comfortable. So,
but these are
outstanding. And I was really telling her how much we enjoy these the chairs. But that's a brand new balloon for them, and so
glad that they're
got workshops here.
The black one with the space patterns all over it. That's called the Journey. Mike Gonzalez from Rio Rancho.
Oh, see, I thought you were talking about the Pink Floyd balloon that's also up. Gary Moore. He's not on the screen. I see what you're talking about on the screen, but Gary Moore is up in Time Machine, which always reminds me of one of the, it was a cover of a Pink Floyd album from some years ago. Ken Drawn is airborne in his balloon. Ken's a good friend of ours from the great state of North Carolina. Bright yellow balloon with interlocking red and blue diamonds in the center. Ken,
the lower right of the...
There he is, lower right of the screen. And Ken and Ruth both do a lot of work with a great charity that's connected to NASCAR out in North Carolina. They go out to a camp for kids there with the balloons, and for the life of me, I can't remember now the name of the camp, and I should. I'm sure if Ruth is listening, she can tell us later. But I know that both she and Ken do a lot of work with that group, and it's great to have Ken here with us.
There we can see the sun over the Sandias.
And there goes the first of the fleet from camera. And that is Puddles, the original penguin that's facing us. Splash will be the one facing away, the female. There's Rest the Wolf. There's that beautiful panther. Just a gorgeous balloon. There's Simbaloo, the lion.
And Cannon getting the logo in there.
And Cannon getting the shot. Way to go, Johnny!
Yeah! Photo bomb!
Nothing like having a Cannonball photo bomb your on-screen video. Yeah.
We're going to have to show that both to Cannon and Andrew.
Yeah, Johnny will appreciate it too. Yeah. And Johnny and Andrew are great friends. Johnny's been over to the Longleat, the Sky Safari in Longleat, so not a stranger at all.
He won the event.
He did. He won the championship. He won the exclusive ballooning. Runs a competition called the Exclusive Cup, and Johnny won that championship. Added that to his mantle of trophies that he's won through his flying career.
Yeah.
There goes the cheetah, a bit away from the rest of the family, but he and Busby are just side by side there. The cheetah, another of the fleet, and
there is a
Owlie is
region
up there
on
as
Mars,
well.
roughly the size of
A whole
Australia.
bunch of critters.
It rises high above
So
the surface
the owl
of the
balloon that
planet.
you just talked about, we just saw there, they've
Three
given
of
me
the
a whole
largest
little story here.
volcanoes
They
in
used
the
to just
solar
call
system
that the owl
line
balloon.
up to guide
And
its
then
western
after it's
flank.
been here a couple of years and some other t-shirts, etc., they
To the
started
east,
calling it owl
a vast
balloon.
canyon, 6 to 7 times deeper
Yeah, so
than
while
the
it's
Grand
here
Canyon,
flying, it's the
cuts
owl
into the
balloon.
barren Martian plain.
So I appreciate those folks sharing that.
This
those
strange
tidbits
region,
with
once
us
so
as well.
baffling to
Hey,
scientists,
we talked about the balloon
recalls the
manufacturers
planet's
earlier today.
violent
One of the
past.
pilots actually texted me a picture this morning and said, "Hey, I'm going to be flying this balloon this morning. It's for
A time
sale."
long ago when the planet's core
So, if we
erupted,
see it, we'll talk about
pushing
it,
molten
but,
rock
we'll
to
have,
the
Mike will have to
surface.
get the balloon in the air and make it.
It's part of a
go on.
larger
There's
story,
the
a planetary
plus
tragedy
the puppy
in
dog
which Mars began its
balloon
descent
on our screen.
into the cold, dry, and lifeless state
We
that
seem
we
to
see
get lots
today.
of headshots or animal
We are
shots
now
that
scouring
made
its
into
surprisingly
balloons.
complex surface
It's nice to be able to just take that nice
for clues to
basic
the events
round
that long
pattern
ago doomed
and then put some
the
appendages
red
on it to
planet
make a
Mars.
nose or ears or hats, like with Dosito Bimbo here. If you look, there's a basic balloon there. And you get his nose, a
Since
little
the
bit of
early
puff out from the chin,
1960s,
the ears,
we've
and then
tried
of course the big
46
baker's
times
hat
to
on
send
top.
spacecraft to Mars.
But many, it's easier to, I think,
Across
to
the 55
engineer a
million
special shape when you
kilometers,
start
its
with that
closest
basic
approach to
balloon
Earth.
shape.
Well, and they fly
Over half
a lot
fail
easier
to
that way
launch
as well.
or
More
upon
difficult,
arrival.
but like center stage is a much more difficult balloon to
The
fly,
rest flew
as
around the
opposed to
planet,
like the Simbaloo that
snapping
I'm just looking
pictures,
at right here.
recording
That was,
data.
yeah, I've got my Canon N50 mirrorless camera out that I'm doing a quick picture with.
We just had a shot of
Or they
tall
landed
Steve Bebo
to test
and
its
Johnny
soil and
Eager bringing
rocks.
the cannon balloon into the shot again, so he's all over it.
And
There's a
crawl
red,
around
white,
its
blue balloon with the
canyons
CNF
and
banner
craters.
that stars in stripes.
These
Clear
probes
cockpit.
may one day
And
pave
he's
the way
just
for
getting
human
eclipsed by
explorers
the
who will dig
G'day,
deeper still
the koala balloon.
in search of answers to our
That is
most
actually
pressing
Adelaide
question.
is the name of the balloon.
Did Mars,
The,
at some
balloon
point long
is
ago,
significant because it
develop
represents
far enough
the
for
fact
life
that
to arise?
that Longleat, which is
If
a
so,
wildlife safari
does
park in
anything
England,
still live within Mars' dusty
added
plain?
koalas to their range of
Beneath its ice
animals. Just last year,
Or
they had
somewhere
4 koalas that were
underground.
on loan from South Australia. From
Mars does not give up its
The
secrets
Mexico True
easily.
balloon flown by Bill Lee.
Over the
Mexico
years,
True, our tourist
that has
department.
led observers
This
on this
balloon
planet
fiesta
to jump to
brings
all
in
sorts of
an economic
conclusions.
impact of somewhere on the
In
order
the
of
year
$177
1877,
million.
the Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli noted markings on Mars'
Bill
surface.
Lee flying the Mexico
lattice
True for
work
our
of
tourism
lines.
department.
He called
The
them
name of the balloon is
canali
True
in
Lee,
Italian,
based on
meaning
the Mexico
channels
True
in English.
Bill Lee connection. Bill also puts
Schiaparelli
together
began
the
to
Gallup
sketch them
balloon
and
rally
name them,
out in Red
connecting
Rock.
them in a vast global network.
Oh, yep, here we go.
Yeah, balloon
Over a
cam
15-year
are,
period,
So here's what
beginning
it's
in
like to land in
1894,
your balloon as you come
the
in.
American astronomer Percival Lowell
mess it
closely
up.
examined these features.
Just kind of
He
bring
saw
the
a
balloon
remarkable
down.
drama
Nice
unfolding
wide
on
spot.
our neighboring
The basket will touch. This is another
In
one
his
where the
view,
envelope will continue
Schiaparelli's
to go a little bit,
channels
so a
were
little jar
artificial
there.
canals
But,
designed
nice
perhaps to
landing.
carry melting snow from the
Thanks
poles
to
the dry
John
interior.
Bulger again for flying our camera.
After all,
And to
on
his
Earth,
camera person
the Suez Canal had been open
what their
since
name is, to put one of his
1869.
passengers into
Construction
into
on the
action
Panama Canal
to get
had just
us those
gotten
shots
underway.
this morning, so that's perfect.
The Martian
Here's,
canals,
off to the,
Lowell surmised,
west
had been
side,
built by a
mostly
sophisticated
yellow with blue at the
society
bottom. That's
confronting an
Balance. That'd be,
environmental
Judy
catastrophe
Nakamura, the
on the
Chief Justice
grandest of scales.
of the New Mexico Supreme Court.
Its
What do you know
inhabitants
about this
faced
puppy
an
dog
urgent
balloon that we have
choice:
over here? We saw Wags
move
last
water
night, which
across
is Dean Cross's
vast
new balloon.
arid
It's not a special
regions,
shape. This
or
one
perish
is
on an
appeared to be a new
increasingly
special
dry
shape that
planet.
I'm not familiar with.
Let me.
In a series of 3 best-selling books, Lowell
And
took
while
his
we're looking
case
up
to
that
the
information,
public.
Art is looking there. You see it on the screen.
The public
Art's going to check for
responded
that, and it's a good time for us
with
to
some
remind you
ideas
that
of their
we
own.
are watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered
With
by
the means to
XTO,
remake an
which is
entire
a subsidiary of
planet, perhaps
Exxon
these
Mobil.
Martians
We're
were
glad to
more
have them,
advanced than humans.
as a sponsor.
Some
and I
of
should
us
say again,
began
pay no
offering
attention to the hat.
schemes
The
for
fact
making
is,
contact.
I was at the Titanic experience
Giant
in Belfast
nerves
just
to
last
flash
month.
greetings.
I have the Balloon Fiesta live.
Light
Yeah, I know you do.
beams.
Yeah.
I don't usually wear caps.
Mental
but I did because
telepathy.
of the sun in my eyes yesterday. So
And because it's cool, I zipped
Lowell's
up my
vision
jacket so you
fell
can
by
see
the
it. So the
wayside
puppy dog is
in
Buster the
1964.
Bulldog,
okay,
actually.
cool.
The
Paul
Mariner
Burroughs
4
from,
spacecraft
you know, this
flew by
Bristol,
Mars
United
and got a good
Kingdom.
look.
Well, I've not seen the balloon
What
over
it saw
there, so
looked more like the moon
yeah,
than the
you learn
Earth.
something new every day you're out here at
3
Balloon
more
Fiesta.
mariners
There goes the
followed.
Redeemer. Nice shot of it.
These
on
missions documented a heavily
on the
cratered
screen.
landscape,
And,
hopped with huge dormant
Just
volcanoes,
looking around, they
and
just launched
cut
from down
with
at
the
the north
deepest
end.
and longest
I see center
canyon in the
stage,
solar
the
system.
special shaped balloon, of course,
They
with,
saw no traces of life, present or past.
with Beth Wright Smith on board as
Then,
pilot.
in the
We'll be launching
mid-1970s,
here shortly.
2
There goes
lander
Orville Engage
orbiter
in his balloon
robot
with all the
teams
children,
named Viking
holding hands from
went in
around the
for an
world,
even closer look.
getting launched from the
The
solar shape.
landers
And I
tested
think
the
we have
soil
another
for the chemical
special guest
residues
here
of
on
life.
the
We
tower.
do. We
All
got
the
the
evidence
hitman
from
here.
Viking
Henry
told
Rosenbaum,
us
the-
Mars
One of our
is
many
dead.
bosses.
Yeah.
Good morning.
and extremely
Good morning,
harsh.
Henry. How's things going? It looks like a great day up there.
The mission
a
recorded
chamber
Martian
conference
surface
day.
temperatures
Isn't it?
from
Believe
minus
me.
Yeah, this is
17
so-
degrees
yeah, so
Celsius
fabulous.
down
Especially after
to
yesterday.
minus
Yesterday was a
107.
fantastic day.
We now know it can get even
To have
colder
everybody
than
fly
that at the
today. We've
poles.
got a box forming. After everybody
The
launches,
atmosphere
we have the
is
balloons landing back on the
95%
field later.
carbon
It's gonna be
dioxide,
fantastic.
with
This,
only
this is
traces
what
of
we come to
oxygen.
Fiesta for.
It is.
Really, this is
And it's
Fiesta, what we're
extremely
seeing today.
thin,
It is just
with
that.
less than
we
1% of the surface
can't wait
pressure
every
of
year to
Earth's
come back
atmosphere.
and hopefully we can have 9 days
And
of this
it's
kind of
bone
flying.
dry.
Well, that
In
short
fact,
came through on
the Sahara
Friday,
Desert
and that's
is
what
a
kind of gave
rainforest
us the
compared
fog
to
and stuff,
Mars,
the kind of the
where
remnants of
water
that yesterday.
vapor is
But
a trace
what I'm
gas in
looking
the
at from my
atmosphere.
amateur reading here, it looks like
On
the rest of
Earth,
the week should be great.
impact
That-
craters
It does.
erode
The rest of the
over
week looks
time
fantastic.
from wind
Hopefully
and water,
we'll get the gas balloons
and
launched
even
this evening,
volcanic
if not
activity.
tomorrow
Yeah.
evening. And
On
we're ready for
Mars,
8 more
they
days
can
of
linger
this
for
kind of weather.
billions
Now,
of
you've been
years.
flying balloons for a long time. You and I have palled around
Earth's
the country
surface
for a
is
few
shaped
years.
and reshaped
But this is your first
by
time
the
out as
horizontal
Balloon
movement
Meister
of
here. How did
plates
that
that
all
make
come
up its
about?
crust,
Just,
driven by heat
working by,
welling up from the planet's hot
several years
interior.
as a safety officer.
Uh-huh.
And then when Sam
At
stepped up
half
to
the
the
width
director of
and
operations,
only
he left that
11%
vacancy
the
open,
mass
and
of Earth,
Sam and I communicated.
Mars doesn't
and told
generate
Sam I'd
enough
like the
heat
chance
to
come
support
out here and read the
wide-scale
Balloon Meister.
plate tectonics.
And here I am, and I'm excited to be
Nor
here.
does
So
it
what
have
kind
the
of stress
gravity
and
to
pressure
hold a thick
comes with that
atmosphere
job?
It
needed
is
to
a lot,
store
especially
enough heat at the
yesterday. Making
surface
that call when
to
to
allow
open the field,
liquid water
when
to
to close
flow.
the field.
Right.
Those are your stressful days. But you know, I've got a
Nonetheless,
team. It's not
some
me doing
areas
all
that
this.
looked to Viking-era scientists like craters and volcanic areas were later shown to be riverbeds,
other safety
lake
officials, and the
bottoms,
landowners, the launch
and
directors,
ocean
everybody comes
shorelines.
together and we make an informed decision.
If water once
And then
flowed on
ultimately, I'm
Mars'
going to be that
surface,
voice and give
where
that
did
word
it
out.
all
Right.
go?
Hey, I bought y'all a gift. So as you know, there's many balloon pins out there, but this is the first year of
This
me
was
being
the
the
scene
Balloon
at
Meister. There's the
NASA's
Balloon
Jet
Meister
Propulsion
pin.
Lab
Thank
in
you very much, sir.
2004.
And we also have
The
our
twin
announcer
rovers,
pins,
Spirit
and
and
so, as well as
Opportunity,
Balloon Fiesta
had
Live
just
pins.
bounced down on the
Yeah,
red
but
planet.
I'll just dig into the pocket here as well.
When the
I'll
excitement
dig
died
you.
Shout
down,
out to all
the
folks
rovers
out there
were
that
sent set off on one of the most remarkable journeys in the history of planetary exploration.
So hopefully it's going to encourage them to book their
Opportunity had come to rest in a small crater near the equator, at a spot called Meridiani Planum.
There is the.
Here in plain view, on a nearby crater wall, its camera revealed exposed bedrock,
there as well. So
the first ever seen on Mars.
To my family and all my friends that
Not
are back
far
in
away,
Virginia,
the rover found layered rocks on the face of
wish
the
you were here,
cliff.
but we're having a great time. And
On Earth, they typically form as sedimentary layers at the bottom of
Yeah,
oceans.
just a few more days too. Yeah, we've got still a week to go. Great
And
activity.
at every turn,
Thank you guys. Thanks for
opportunity
coming
rolled
by, all right?
across
Appreciate it.
tiny,
Okay.
smooth,
Good
round
to see you, my
pellets.
friend.
They became known
Henry
as
Rosenbaum, the
blueberries
Balloon Meister here, the
because
guy
they
calling all
appeared
the
purplish
balloon
brown
operations.
against Mars' rust-colored
Gets to be the
surface.
voice, as he said, with the team
Initially
here.
thought to
We're
be
going, we're
volcanic
not
in
going,
origin,
you're doing this, you're not
They
doing
turned
that.
out to
types
be
of things, and then
iron-rich
the pilots put
spherules
the
of the
balloons
type
up.
that form within
And
cavities in the
more
mud
of them are
at the
getting into the
bottom of an
sky
ocean.
and are taking that advantage of that box wind pattern. They are
Drilling
starting
into
to hang
rocks,
right
the
over
rover
the top
inserted
of
a
the field.
spectrometer to
So
read
we've
the
got a
mineral
great crowd
content.
on the field. We've
The
got
reading showed
great
significant
number of
amounts
balloons in
of
the sky.
sulfate
We
salt.
still have quite a few
A
yet
tracer
to
for standing
inflate
water.
and to get airborne. But it's
That
it is
wasn't
that
all.
picture perfect
Spirit's
day
broken
here.
wheel
Picture
dragging
perfect,
behind
of course,
it
being
exposed
the theme
soils saturated
of
in
this, the
salt.
48th Albuquerque International
Clearly,
Fiesta
there was once
presented
water
by
on Mars'
Canada.
surface.
Absolutely.
Look
But
at that
how
shot
long ago?
with all the balloons.
And
I
if
was
there's
just
on the
anything
ground,
left,
in the air.
where would you
That's
find
from
it?
our. That's going to be from our north camera.
Right.
I see
One
another
possible
one of
answer,
those little
the North
hoppers.
Pole.
It's you can see it's
From
smaller.
orbit,
It's got
this
a purple
region seemed
top
to
and
be
then kind
covered
of
in
orange
frozen
middle,
CO2,
yellow going down. It's
what
off
we
to the
call
right.
dry ice.
Just to the right of that is
But
the
was there
yellow and
water
blue.
ice
So if you look
below
left
the
of that,
surface?
Yeah, I
so
see
that's
that.
one of those two-seater hoppers.
That's the duo chariot.
That's right. And then the yellow and blue one that we see there,
Enter
that's my
Phoenix,
friends Barbara and Peter.
a lander
I can't
that
tell,
touched
or
down
that's
near the North
Stefan
Pole
and
in
Sabrina. I
early
can't tell
2008.
from this angle because there's two identical or almost identical ones.
Just as we were talking with Henry about people watching online and hopefully making plans to
Radar
come out
readings
here,
from orbit taken by the
just looking
Mars
at,
Express mission
Marissa
hinted at
Kirk
the
Deans
presence
is
of ice
definitely
just
on my
below the
bucket list.
surface.
Absolutely breathtaking. You
The
guys are doing
Phoenix
a great job.
lander's
Well, thank you
descent
for that.
thrusters blew away the
It's
top
easy for
layer
us
of soil,
to sound good when we have
allowing
this
its
kind of
camera
show
to
going
snap
on. All we have to do
pictures
is
of what
just really
looked like
background
ice.
white noise at this point. The
Scientists
balloons of the show,
instructed the robot to conduct a simple
It
experiment.
is, as Henry said,
Reach
it's a
out
Chamber of
and dig a
Commerce
trench.
morning. This
Then
is
watch what
exactly why we
happens.
come to Fiesta for days like
As
this.
expected,
And
bumps of
fortunately,
white
most
stuff
days
appeared.
here
A couple
are
of
like
days
this. We do
later,
have the odd
it was
day
gone.
where, like yesterday with the fog,
Vaporized.
we've had cases where sometimes we do
That
have
means
rain
it
very
can't be
occasionally. And
salt or
famously,
frozen
one year woke up,
CO2,
pilots
which is
woke up and it was
stable
snowing
in the cold,
outside.
dry temperatures of
What?
the
I
Martian
still
pole.
remember that.
I do
So
too.
it had to be
snowing,
water.
and
The
so
the
first
call to
ever
me was,
directly
go
seen
back to
on
bed.
Mars.
it's snowing. Yeah.
So,
But most days are
There
just
are
like this.
indications that the
This
North
is- and
Pole
this is
was
part of the
actually
reason why
warm enough
New
in the
Mexico is
recent
known as the
past
land of enchantment.
for water
because on a
ice
day
to
like
become
today,
liquid.
It truly is.
The
an
Mars
enchanting place to
Reconnaissance
be.
Orbiter, or MRO,
so the black sheep
used
George
radar
Perry
pulses to
from
peer
Brazil,
beneath the surface of the ice cap.
bringing the black sheep.
These
to us.
data
One of the
reveal
shapes
that
that's
the
been here
ice,
for, at
just
least
over
a few
a mile
years.
thick,
The balloon was actually
formed
built
in a
back
succession
in
of
2015,
layers
so it's a
as the
4-year-old
climate
balloon
alternated
already.
between warm
Wow,
and
it
cold.
doesn't seem like it.
No, it doesn't.
Jamie Greer,
Our
can't wait
planet
for you to come
avoids
out and see
mood
it as
swings
well.
like this,
Jamie
in
is,
part because its spin
part
is
of my crew friend
stabilized
back
by
in
a
the days when I
massive
used to
moon.
fly at the Natchez Balloon Race. the
Mars
Mississippi
spin is
River
not,
Balloon Race.
so it can really wobble,
Jamie and her entire
with
family.
the pole
Betsy,
tilting toward the
I
sun
saw
for
yours.
long periods.
We don't have the shot on the camera, but I'm looking up here where I see the leading
New observations
gesture.
by
I see
the
the front
MRO
with the,
spacecraft
yellow with the lock.
show that these
that's
wobbles
kid
can
drawn.
lead to
There you go.
dramatic
And then a
releases
little
of
bit higher,
CO2.
I forgot who that is,
and
but it's kind of like
warming
there's
periods due to an
they're
increase
just
in
going
the
every
greenhouse
direction
effect.
as well as stopped in there.
Yeah,
The
well,
ice
Pat
now
Koch is
detected
in the
below
IMTS
Mars'
balloon
surface
way up
He's
there.
right there
That
as well,
balloon
yeah.
of a much earlier
So-
time.
swirls through it.
And Bill Lee's getting into the mix. It's just kind of, you look up
The
there and
thinking
it's
is
just like,
that not long after
yeah,
its
Look at the
birth,
cluster. Look just
the
above
planet's
Lady
molten
Jessica. That cluster
interior
of four
would have
balloons
spewed
there.
out
All
enough
four going
gas
in
to
different
form an
directions.
atmosphere.
yeah, they've picked up Lady
Carbon
Jessica. Just kind
dioxide
of, you
and
pull
water
back, and if you
vapor
get a little
began to
higher, yeah,
trap
it's
heat
just
from sunlight.
everything kind of going every direction. At different speeds, dude.
And
Temperatures
and the
rose
different
high
speeds.
enough
Oh,
to
yeah.
allow liquid water to flow
Here
on the
comes one of our
surface,
Dawn Patrol balloons. There's the
creating
one from
myriad
Arizona that
rivers,
was in the Dawn
ponds,
Patrol.
lakes, and
Earlier,
oceans.
the one with the swirl saguaro cactus on it there?
Yeah, well, there's Tim Floyd farther out.
Oh, yeah.
Evidence of this thicker
Yeah,
atmosphere
there goes
landed
Tammy Foley
literally
getting
in
airborne in
Opportunity's
her pink
backyard.
camouflage balloon now.
The rover spied a
Oh, and
strange
Darth.
bluish rock,
And Yoda.
a nickel iron meteorite named Block Island. Streaking through a thin atmosphere, this massive chunk of metal should have been obliterated on contact.
Darth Vader and Yoda
Instead,
were,
its fall was likely slowed and its impact softened by a much thicker atmosphere.
Got to fly up close and personal
What
with
then
Yoda.
caused the atmosphere and the water
obviously
to
we've
disappear
been talking about how close balloons get
and the
here.
planet
Got,
to grow cold and dry?
Very safe and all that, but just to be right up next to Yoda and flying. Yoda's actually
The
a pretty
answer
tiny
comes from
balloon.
data
It is actually a
recorded
fairly
by the
small
Mars
balloon,
Global
yeah.
I'm remembering
Surveyor
it's about
just after
60,000
it went into
cubic feet.
orbit in 1997.
Average is for most of our balloons.
Its
between
instruments
70 and
detected the
90,000.
presence of
Both
a
of those
weak
balloons were brought
magnetic
to us here from
field
Belgium,
emanating
and I
from the
can still
planet.
remember
A
when
reading
Darth
that
Vader
scientists
first
eagerly
appeared,
compared to
first
that of Earth.
debuted. I was fortunate to
Our
put Darth
planet's
Vader on the
magnetic
cover of
field
Ballooning
is
Magazine, the
generated
official
by
publication
molten
of the
rock
Balloon
deep
Federation
in
of
its
America.
core that rises and
He
falls
was more
into a
fortunate
vast
later
region below
to
the
have
outer
George
crust
Lucas
called the
sign the
mantle.
magazine for me.
Oh, nice.
I
The
have,
rising and
my
sinking
copy of
motion
Balloon
within,
with Darth on the
combined
cover,
with the spinning
and,
motion of the planet,
signed, to me
generates a
personally
strong
from George
magnetic
Lucas,
field.
along with the pilot
You can
and
trace
the
this
father and
field
son who
back
were the
to
pilots
Earth's
of the
early
balloons,
years,
who signed
when
the
large
balloon,
amounts
or
of
signed
heavy
the magazine
elements
for me
such as
well. So that's one of
iron
my
sank into
prized
its
collectibles.
cores.
So what would you describe that balloon as
Radioactive
we're
decay
seeing right there?
began
The
to
black
generate
with
heat,
kind of evil
and the
eyes
planet's
and the
mass
horns.
is large
I don't know,
enough
is
to
that maybe
hold
a
it in.
demon? Would that be a good word to use for that?
Earth's magnetic
Maybe. I'm
field
looking at the name
extends
of it,
far
and
enough
it's
out into
Beelzebub.
space to deflect
So I
the
don't know if
wind
that's
of
a-
high-energy
Beelzebub?
solar particles.
Yeah.
Without a similar
Beelzebub
electromagnetic
is
deflector
is a-
shield on Mars,
Gosh.
solar radiation
I think that's
lashed
a
the planet,
mythological
gradually
beastie
stripping
of
That
of its
may be it then.
atmosphere.
Beelzebub?
Yeah, it's
What
with a
water
B-U-T-H.
Mars had would have
Oh, no,
vaporized
I-
into
yeah,
space,
okay.
Might
Well,
be pronounced
or
that way.
frozen underground.
Maybe I'm remembering something different, but that
However,
sounds...
there is
could
evidence
be
that
it.
at one time,
It is a
Mars
brand
did
new
have a
balloon
robust
from
magnetic field.
Belgium.
So one of the new
Rocks and
special
some of
shapes,
the
that's
older
here's one of the
craters bear a
104 shapes
strong
that we'll be
imprint of this
featuring
field,
when our special shapes
while
rodeos
newer
get underway
craters
on Thursday
indicate a
and
much
Friday.
weaker
But many
field.
of those 104 here we just
Oh yeah,
saw.
they fly all the time.
What
Yeah,
happened
there's
to
only
them?
like 17 that are only here for the rodeo.
The
We just saw
answer
the
lies deep
armadillo
in
and
Mars
the
past.
Keystone Cop on the
Well,
screen.
events
and
so
we've seen the
powerful,
whole,
they are still
Longleaf
written on
Fleet
the
get
landscape.
Airborne and Doug Gant's Hamlet balloon earlier. Beambo is a part of that special
There's
shape
Hamlet
group.
right there.
Yep, there's Hamlet out there.
This is a simple
With
elevation
pigs
map
fly
of
on the
Mars
side of the
surface
balloon.
from
And
data
Nellie,
gathered by the
Princess
Mars
Nellie,
Odyssey
is getting
spacecraft.
airborne off the field here
The
as well.
South
This
Pole,
is the
colored in red and
third in
orange,
the series, I
is piled
think.
I
high
believe
with
so,
ice.
yes.
Yeah, third in
Moving
a row.
off
The
the
first one
southern
was
highlights,
white.
we
It
make
was
our
just
way
called
north.
Nellie. The second one was pink.
The landscape
Nellie
is pumped
P,
with
and now we
craters.
have Princess Nellie.
The
who is
largest
also
and
pink,
oldest
but
ones
has
have
the
faded,
tiara.
The tiara.
their edges softened
On
by
top of
wind-blown
I'm
dust.
just out of the corner of my eye, I'm keeping
Moving
an eye
up
on tall
along the
speed.
equator, we
Henry
pass
Holly,
into a
because
region
he has
called
this habit of
Tharsis,
trying to
based on
buzz
the biblical
tower,
name for the western
yeah.
edge of the known
And,
world.
Negative Ghost Rider.
There's
On
Lottie.
the edge of this vast high-altitude
There's Lottie
plateau
Dottie, and there's
is a
Tall
series
Steve.
of enormous
There goes
volcanoes.
our chair. We don't have it on camera,
A
but there
string of
goes
small
the
ones,
chariot we were talking about
18
off
kilometers
the,
high.
west side of the field.
Also, down to the
Arcea
north of the
Mons,
field, we talked about the puppy
16
dog, the
kilometers.
balloon earlier. The one I was thinking of,
Pavonis
there
Mons,
is Dean
14
Carlton now in
kilometers.
his balloon Wags, just getting
Just
airborne.
beyond is the
It's a kind of
largest volcano in our
teal-colored
solar
balloon
system,
with
Olympus
beautiful
Mons,
artwork. In that artwork,
25 kilometers in
Retriever
elevation.
was patterned after their own family
The thinking
dogs.
is that the Tharsis
So
region
Wags
bulged
is,
out
airborne.
when a
For
giant
years,
dome of
Dean
magma
flew
pushed up from the planet's
one of the
core.
two Zebra balloons. Zebra.
The volcanoes grew
Zebra.
large because Mars lacks the
Depending
constant
on where you are
shifting
in
of
the world.
crustal plates that on Earth leads to chains of smaller volcanoes, like the Hawaiian Islands. Just to the east is the great Valles Marineris, named for the Mariner 9 mission that found this
Little, where's
vast
2 6
cache.
guns? This year is picture perfect, and so why not? Well, but
Planes
they're
above.
back, and just next to him is Chris and Amanda Sabia's balloon, Wonder Bread.
And
Spark
dust
the Wonder
blowing up
is
the
their
canyon walls.
theme, and was just mentioning how to talk to
Here's
Chris
a
the other day just
realistic
before we got
rendering
started
of data
with Festa.
captured by spacecraft. Giant landslides have
interestingly
caused the
enough,
walls
in
to slump off
2021,
and pile onto the valley floor.
we celebrate the 50th
Feeding
anniversary
into the
of
valley,
the
a
Albuquerque
maze of
International
side
Balloon Fiesta Wonder Bread
Scientists
returning
think
100
these
years
and
old.
other tributary features
So don't be
were
surprised
formed
if
when
maybe
underground
there's
water flowed into the main
sponsor
basin
connection
and the
made
land
there.
above
Certainly hope so.
collapsed.
That would be fun.
Wider parts of the canyon
Wells
are
Fargo is
regarded
getting
as
its
possible
regular shape
landing
balloons in
sites
the
for
air,
a
but
manned
this
mission.
is the armadillo
They
does
offer
the
flat
backward dance
surfaces
around it.
and possible
Center
access
stage
to
is
liquid
standing up.
water that may
That will get
remain
it in the
below the
air.
surface.
We talked about
The theory
some
is
shapes are
that
much
Valles
more harder to
Marineris
fly than others.
formed when the planet
Center
began to cool.
stage being one of those.
Its sides
basically
were
just a
pulled
big square
apart
brick.
as the Tharsis Plateau just to the west
and the problem
began
is that
to
it has
rise
a lot
up.
of area mass.
That chain of
that is
events
open
is
to,
now being
the
linked
wind,
to a much larger planetary
and,
event.
and a lot of special shapes require
What one
really calm
scientist
conditions.
called
They just
the
don't do well
defining
in much
moment in
wind.
Mars history.
Not to mention the space you need to land it and pack it up. But we see it there on the screen.
Travel north
Bonnie
down the
Blue,
slopes
the
of Mars' great volcano.
blue and white one. That balloon originally was built.
The elevation
was,
drops as
flown
we
by
move across
Sid
what
Cutter's
appears to be
grandson,
an immense ocean
Chris.
covered
He
here
has
in
since
Oh,
blue.
that's right. He since sold the
He has
With
sold
this
the balloon,
so-called Borealis
and,
basin
but
of
the
north,
new owner
the
is
high
respecting the
elevations to
name
the
of
south.
Bonnie Blue.
I like
Mars
that. I
is a
like,
lopsided
Bonnie
planet.
Blue, of course, has a
In fact, there is a difference
Scottish
of about
connection, not
30
to get
kilometers in the
terribly
thickness
deep
of
into
the
that,
crust
because I
of
know some
these
of the
two
board members
regions.
aren't thrilled when I do that, but
Here's the
Bonnie
reason.
is a good Scottish word, and there was a time
Early
when the
on,
early Scottish
when the
settlers
solar
were
system was young,
tam o'
Mars
shanters
was
that were
hit
blue.
by
They
at
were
least
usually called Bonnie
15
Blue
large
bonnets.
So
asteroids.
this is the second koala on
I
the
was going to
screen
say,
here.
I see this is a new
Scientists
koala.
have
This is a
linked
new
these
one. This
events
one
to a
is
time around
actually
3.9
based here in
billion years
Placitas,
ago,
which is
known as
basically
the
in the
late heavy
foothills of
bombardment,
the Sandia Mountains.
when
here.
rock
It
samples
is called
from the
the
Apollo landing show
enchanted
that our
koala.
own moon was seriously
Enchanted
pummeled.
koala, and that would be Tom Randall flying that for us.
So I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Tom Randall is flying Enchanted koala.
Enchanted koala, okay.
And I think he's the one that's going to have the sunglasses versus the Adelaide.
Versus Adelaide.
One
yeah,
theory
does
holds
not
that
wear
these
well. The sun doesn't
impacts
shine
heated
very
the
often
outer
in the UK.
subsurface layer of
But
the
it does
planet.
here, and thus
Mars
the
mantle.
sunglasses.
Absolutely.
That prevented
so I think
molten
Rick
rock
has
in its
another
core
guest
from
down on the
rising
field. I'm
up
sorry, I missed
and
the
caused the
truck
crust
telling
to
us who it
thicken.
was, but
This
the
had the
Whitaker
effect
family.
of
Oh, that's
shutting
right.
off
Yeah.
Mars'
So,
magnetic field,
Ruth, let's throw it down
exposing the planet to damaging solar winds.
Thank you, Glenn. Yes, I am
And
here
over time,
with Denise McDonald
turning it
and
into
Bobby
a
Whitaker
wasteland.
and Donna Whitaker. Matt Whitaker was one of the most special people
There
our
are
sport
other
has ever
theories that
seen.
explain the
We lost Matt a
disappearance
few
of
weeks
Mars'
ago.
magnetic
He was
field
here
and
with
its
us last
atmosphere.
year on this stage. And this year his
What's
family
certain
wanted
is that at
to
some point
be
early in its
here
history,
to commemorate his
the red
life
planet grew
and to talk a
increasingly
little bit
desolate.
about the many, many, many wonderful things that Matt has
The Martian
contributed to the
landscape we
sport.
see today is
Bobby,
replete
would you
with
like to
coded
start?
signals
What
from
out
these
of all
early
the
times.
millions of things? What
Ancient
was your favorite?
riverbeds and lake bottoms,
Oh boy.
floodplains,
There was never a dull
and volcanic
moment, let me put
cones,
it that way.
as well as the battering it received from
I don't know,
impacts.
really. There's so many favorite
But
things.
is Mars a dead world?
Yeah, that was frightening
Maybe.
the first time when he did
Maybe
the
not.
first world record.
And how high did he go? And how
An
far
infrared
did he go?
telescope
And what
on
went into the
Hawaii's
planning
Mauna
of
Kea
that record?
volcano
Well, he
was
flew
trained
for,
on
what,
Mars
8
over
hours,
several years.
And he went
Astronomers
landed
used a
someplace
spectrometer
in Iowa,
to
but
split
I
the light
forgot
into its
where.
individual wavelengths, to identify chemical fingerprints in the atmosphere.
Now, Matt
They
was
found the
also,
signature
he
of
witnessed
methane
the first
gas
hot air balloon
in amounts that
race
change
at
from
the
place
St.
to
Paul
place.
Winter Carnival. but he
Because
wasn't
methane
flying back
should
then, was he?
disappear quickly in Mars'
as
atmosphere,
we went to watch
there
it, we
must
saw
be
that
some
it was
source
advertised.
that
We had just
constantly
moved
replenishes
from
it.
Waukegan, Illinois, and
That
we
source
just
could
moved to
amount to
Minneapolis
nothing
at
more
that
than the
time.
chemical
And he
reactions
said,
in Mars'
"Let's go out and
crust.
see what it
Or
is."
it could be biological
Well,
in
as we
nature.
drove away, as
Perhaps
the balloons were flying
microbes
away, he
alive
said,
and well
"I gotta
in
do that
heated
someday."
pools underground.
Race in the entire world.
So far,
That's right, and as I
neither the
remember,
satellites
Tracy
flying over
Barnes
Mars nor
was
the
the winner
robots
of
on the
that
ground
race. But then not
have turned
too
up
very
anything
long
close
later,
to clear proof of
it
life.
came time for the very first Albuquerque
It may take
International
the
Balloon
searching
Fiesta. Well, it wasn't
eyes,
international
flexible
then,
minds, and
but
nimble
Matt
fingers
was one
of
of the
human
original
explorers
13. And
to
Denise,
find
you
that
are
buried
wearing
treasure,
his
if it
original
exists.
jacket from that event. Stand up and show us.
In the meantime, we are finding that even if Mars is dead, It's certainly
My
not dumb.
solo certificate and flew with
Mars
them on
has
that
nowhere
race.
near the dynamism of Earth.
So it's pretty special.
with its oceans.
And Donna, you also became a pilot, so this is a complete aviation family here. Tell us about your flights, your family
and shifting continents.
flights in Africa.
Oh, we had a wonderful time.
But
Tom
it does
Gable,
do
who was one of
some
the earliest
fascinating
balloonists, we were on a
If you
family
take an
vacation thanks to
atmosphere
Denise
out of
and
the
the
tenuous,
passes she got on United.
heat from the
And
sun,
Tom gave
you get the renowned
Dad, Mom,
dust
and I
devils
a
of
flight over the
Mars.
Masamara, which was spectacular.
With no trees to hold the
How
soil
long ago was
down,
that?
landslides are
Probably
common.
15, 20 years ago, something like that.
Nominated
in
Matt
canals
for the
built by the
Harmon
Martian
Trophy, and that's one
engineers
of the
of
most
Percival Lowell's
prestigious
imagination.
trophies in
But in
aviation
sand
in the
dunes, shaped
entire
by the
world.
wind,
Did he call Matt?
and in
How did that all come
landscapes
about?
molded by a gradually changing climate.
I can't remember exactly.
When actually,
Some scientists have even turned
Malcolm
up hints
invited
of
our
low-level
family,
plate
what I loved
tectonics.
was the reply. Dad put
Whether
a
or not
bottle of
we
medium
ever
for wine
find
together,
life
champagne,
on Mars,
and inside
we
it
can
he put a
still
little
marvel
note that
at the
said,
beauty of our
we'd be
neighboring
delighted,
planet.
and he sent it back to Malcolm, and Malcolm kept
Its
thinking we had
surface
replied,
subtly
we had replied, and one
sculpted
day he
over
looked,
eons of time.
and he saw the yes. He flew our family
world
over in
that
his
never
private
was.
plane, the Capitalist Jewel, the DC-9, to be part of that. One of our most amazing family memories.
And now you fly, do you still fly for United, Denise?
3 or 4 years, and yeah, just a couple more years left, but I still love it.
And was it from your father's inspiration in flying that you came into this career?
Yeah, so he actually started flying little airplanes before he got into hot air balloons, and so when I was in college, my parents gave me 2 hours of flying lessons as a Christmas present, and that started it off. So I flew commercial business jets for a while, and then I got United 34 years ago.
34 years. I keep looking for, whenever I fly United, I keep wondering, is it going to be Denise? But it hasn't been so far. And then Matt was inducted into the Ballooning Hall of Fame in 2012. He was one of the earliest inductees. Did you all go to Indianola for that ceremony?
We did. It was such an amazing honor, and it was,
Two roads
he started the
diverged in our
first
young solar
flight
system.
school. He did early promotional work, set all the world records, but his real focus always had been on safety, and I think that was one of the things we were most proud of, to be recognized at the Hall of Fame.
And then in
enveloping
that
the other
vein,
in
he was
acid
awarded a
clouds,
patent for an improved
heat,
deflation system, I believe.
and
Yes, he
volcanic
was,
flows.
and Raven Industries.
Why did
is the
Venus
one
take such
that
a
he
disastrous
worked through,
turn?
And it was very good, and he spent a lot
And
of
what
time
light
working
can
on that.
Earth's sister
But
planet
he was
share
always looking
on the
for
search
better
for
things,
other
you know, more
worlds
safety.
like our
He
own?
was quite the inventor. When you talk about Tracy was talking to Dad and Mom about the parachute top when he was just conceiving it and drawing it out on a piece of paper.
Wow, that is just amazing.
For as
Now, I
long
want to
as
shift
we have gazed
gears
upon
here
the
away from
stars,
ballooning a
they
little
have
bit.
offered few
I understand
signs
Matt
that
could
somewhere
also
out there,
cut a rug with
a
the best
world
of
as
them.
rich and diverse as our own.
Surprise me in the slightest.
Recently,
Well, as we're
though,
winding
astronomers
up,
have found
one of the
ways to
ways
see
that I
into the
always
bright lights
remember
of nearby
Matt is
stars.
as a man of deep
They've been
and great
discovering
faith.
planets at a rapid
And I
rate,
can see that
using
his love
orbiting
for you all
observatories like
and for
NASA's
this
Kepler
sport
Space
will be with
Telescope.
us always. Thank you so much for joining
and
us
an
this
array of
morning.
ground-based instruments.
Thank you, Ruth,
The count is
and
almost
please give
1,000.
Bobby a hug for
And
me.
rising.
Bobby and Matt, great friends for many, many years. I remember just a few years ago
These
here at
alien
Fiesta,
worlds
I was
run the gamut,
roaming around the field
from
on my
great
golf
gas
cart and
giants
bumped
many
into them,
times
and
the
they were
size
trying to
of
make their way
Jupiter.
back up to the parking lot. And we'll
To
climb on, I'll
lucky
take you back up
charred
there.
remnants that burned when their
Had a
parent
great
star
visit with
exploded.
Matt and Bobby just last year here at Fiesta at the
Some have wild
the
elliptical
Friday evening
orbits,
Hall of Fame,
swinging
the
far
International
out into
Ballooning Hall of
space,
Fame induction
then
ceremony.
diving
We
into
talked with him
scorching
on air
stellar
here on
winds.
Fiesta Live as well.
Yeah. And speaking of our dear friend Matt, today
Still
is,
others
as we said
orbit so
earlier on,
close to their parent
is
stars
a
that
memorial
their
flight.
surfaces
This
are
is
likely bathed in molten rock.
earlier when we lost Cindy and balloon pilot and a great member of the ballooning community. The truck, Gary, I don't know if you guys can come to us on the set for just a second, but each of the pilots
Amid these
today
hostile
have been
realms,
provided
a
with
few
these
bear
white
tantalizing
streamers.
hints
And
of
it's
water
just a
or
long
ice, ingredients
white
needed to nurture life
streamer of
as we know
envelope
it.
fabric. and what they were
The race to find other Earths has raised anew the ancient question
of any loved one that they would like to remember,
whether
and
out in the folds of our galaxy, planets like our own are abundant and life commonplace,
we've lost a lot of great friends in the Blue
or whether Earth is a rare Garden of Eden in a barren
in the
universe.
most recent, I know there are a number of people here
With so
who are
little
remembering
direct evidence
my
of
very
these
good
other
friend,
worlds to go on, we have only the stories of planets within
Julian
our own
Nunn.
solar
Yes,
system
here we
to
lost,
gauge the chances of finding another Earth. Consider, for example,
Jody,
a world that has long had the look
my
and
very good
feel
friend,
of a life-giving
Julian
planet.
Nunn. Yes, Joy here. We lost
Except for
our
the
dear
moon,
friend,
there's no
Jody.
brighter light in our
Jody
night
was
sky
before we
than the
came
planet
on
Venus,
the
known as both the morning and the evening star.
Saw our activities on those streamers.
The ancient Romans named it for their goddess of beauty
I
and
know there's
love.
others that we're forgetting
In
his name.
time,
I know there's
the
others that
master
we're
painters
forgetting his names.
transformed this classical symbol
there is a very
into
good
the
friend of ours
rushes
that
of
was a
excitement.
crew member. There is a Kim Best, who's one of our reporters who stayed on the balloon that worked
It was
for
a
us
scientist, Galileo Galilei, who demystified
reporters.
planet Venus, charting its phases as it
balloon
moved
and
around
worked
the
with us as
sun,
well.
drawing it into the ranks of the other
Here a lot of
planets.
years, he passed away just 2
With a
days
similar
ago.
size and weight,
So,
Venus
yes, you're right.
became
There are
known
many,
as
many
Earth's
names
sister planet.
that we've
But how Earth-like is
I think
it?
about them all the time, especially today.
The
So,
Russian
please give
scientist
Bobby a
Mikhail
hug and
Lomonosov caught a tantalizing hint in 1761.
They would all want us to
As
continue
Venus passed
flying,
in front of
and
the
that's
sun,
what we are
he witnessed a
definitely
hair-thin
doing
luminescence on
today.
its edge.
So we've got
Venus, he
our,
found, has an atmosphere.
fish
Later
on the
observations revealed a thick layer of clouds.
over the top.
Astronomers imagined they were made of water vapor, like those on Earth.
Chicken, isn't that kind of
Did
reversed
they
of the
obscure
chicken?
stormy, wet conditions below? And did anyone, or
Founders of Curves Workout Centers. Was from NBC some years ago, and Gary is a huge supporter of the sport of ballooning, and he flies his balloon, the yellow balloon with the Texas star and the racing stripe on it out there.
And we're seeing the head of the little dog peering over the top of the other regular shapes that are out there.
The not so little dog.
Yeah, Vladimir Tavares from Brazil has the little dog for us. Didn't hear it on the air, but this balloon right in front of us here, they were getting a big cheer, and it obviously wasn't enough. The pilot had the hand motion going, more, make sure. So, yeah. What a great day.
Oh, it's just
what a great day. Look at all those
incredible,
balloons just hanging up there. And you know, from a launch director point of view, this is nice that the wind right at the deck, right on the ground here, is a little speedier, because it gets you to clear the field, and then, so you're off the field, leaving room for the rest of the balloons to launch. Then you just get up there and kind of hang up there and watch the show from above. There'll be some fabulous pictures posted from those folks. We had great pictures from our XTO balloon cam this morning.
We did. We had some great aerial shots from the XTO camera this morning.
There go the fractal balloons, airborne. The Benucci, the mostly orange one, and Infinitude, the mostly blue one, or more blue one.
It's almost like you can take one and turn it inside out.
Almost. That's what I was thinking. Almost. Yeah. Just from the overall colors. The fractal pattern's obviously different.
Well, hopefully there are a lot of photographs being taken today, and time to remind you that if you're here with your camera, we do have, of course, the staff, the great folks from Canon are with us as our presenting sponsor, and as always, I've got both my Canon cameras here, my M50 and my G12, and my G12 probably could use a bit of a touch-up, a clean-up. It's a few years old now. I might have to run it by there, because they will go through your camera with you and make sure that it's in tip-top shape. They'll teach you a few things about it. Maybe your camera has some features you're not familiar with. You can also see the latest Canon gear. I know Ron Berman and I were chatting at the museum, at the Hall of Fame ceremony at the museum Friday, and he has a nice new Canon camera I have not seen before. So I have a little bit of camera envy going on, and I might have to go over to the Canon tent at some point today and check out some of their newer models, although my M50, my mirrorless M50, is one that I just bought last year, particularly for my travels overseas, because it's a nice compact size. If you're into the shooting DSLRs as opposed to just the point-and-shoot cameras, but the G12 is a great, I think now they're up to like the G15 or maybe even the 16, but it's a great little pocket-sized point-and-shoot kind of automatic camera.
There's another one of our new special shapes, Kathy's Hope. Looks almost like a regular shaped balloon, which it basically is, but then it has the
three-dimensional pink ribbons
on the side. Brian Lilly from Fall Branch, Tennessee, flying the Kathy's Hope balloon for us. Someone mentioned that, picked up on that when we saw it in the fog yesterday, and mentioned this. But that's one of our new spells. There you go.
Two of my dearest friends in ballooning. In fact, the only person I ever taught to fly. I was an instructor for once in my life. I taught Ken Lair to fly, and he and his lovely wife Mary Ann are here. I've not seen them yet, but we touched base.
Look at that artsy shot.
Yeah, looking up
through the burners, up at the balloons in the go by. Sorry to interrupt that.
That's okay. We touched base earlier on Facebook, and I just see that their balloon, what originally was their balloon, this red and blue balloon with the gold and black spiral through it, used to be called Hot Stuff. Now it's changed names, and it has a local owner. But Ken and Mary Ann are here, and I'm hoping we'll have a chance to catch up and say hello. They live in California, and I can still remember the day that Ken walked into our offices at Balloon Life magazine and said, "I want to learn to fly balloons." And he started crewing for me, and then went on to become a student pilot, and then quite a nice pilot in his own right. And now he's flying airplanes and driving Corvettes. So.
And we just saw it going on to the picture there, the preventive pest control balloon with the Black Widow spiders on the side.
Yeah. There goes one of my balloons, one of my former balloons, the yellow top with the horizontal rainbow stripes around it there. That was used to, when it was mine, it was called Coyote Rising. I'm not sure what the new name is. And I think, is that...
I was just going to say, there's the
Remax balloons.
Right, just before it was one of the St. Jean balloons. Maury Petrin and the racer are two-time.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to.
That's the way we're trying. Yeah.
I was trying to remember. I was trying to come up with Maury's name. I was going to say, there's one of the Petrins, and I was going, it's not Johnny, it's not Andy, it's not Paul, it's and I couldn't bring Maury's. Sorry, Maury, I couldn't bring his name to the tip of my tongue at the moment.
It's the white, purple, pink racer that's taking off just south of center stage, along the east side of Concession Road. Maury is our champion here 2 times running.
That's right.
And in chatting with him and his family, they're looking for him to make a three-peat.
Okay.
So competition starts tomorrow.
The AARP is represented here this year. That's maybe appropriate because we have talked a lot in the sport about the graying of the sport. A lot of us are not getting any younger, so it's interesting to see AARP. That's the first time I can remember a banner being flown for that organization here at Balloon Fiesta.
A few moments ago, we saw a nice balloon with an outline of a sun on it. That would have been Sunny Side Up with Donna Carlton-Fish.
Center stage is standing up now. We still don't know if that's going to fly. I suspect that it probably won't.
I would agree with you
for that. But Beth Wright Smith keeping the balloon.
There's the sun balloon I was talking about. Sunny Side Up.
So Beth Wright keeping center stage on the field. I see Mariah flying across the north end of the field there.
Oh,
toast!
Ruth has found a first flight ceremony going on. So let's take it down to Ruth Lynn, please.
Yes, Sherry Edwards White is toasting her passenger's first flight with champagne and the traditional balloonist prayer. Sherry does not do the traditional down on your knees, drinking upside down, spraying with champagne. She's kind to her passengers, and I'm sure they appreciate that. Back upstairs, Glenn.
Oh, so we are making plans for getting more folks on the air here, and so we're chatting with some of our guests that will be joining us here shortly. So thanks, Ruth, for that, and Sherry White for sharing that little ceremony and toast with us as well. There's Pico. We talked about Pico a few minutes ago, one of our special shapes from Canada, from Quebec, if I remember correctly. And Mr. Let's see, is that Mr. Fish? Yeah, Mr. Fish behind. We're getting to the end of our second wave. We have probably another 20 or 30 balloons left on the field here to see about standing up. Some of them will probably opt to just stay on the field, as we mentioned with center stage just a few moments ago. What a great head-on shot of Pico there. And that is Saxon. That's actually the backside of Saxon we're seeing from this angle. Saxon is a saxophone, a caricature of a saxophone. And that is the backside to the left of Saxon. That is the backside of Jupiter Man. There we get it. Now, there you can see a great shot of the saxophone. You can see the mouthpiece to the upper right, and the white there being some eyeballs added to the saxophone, and then the hands down by the bell, and the music notes down around the throat end of the saxophone. You see the side of Jupiter Man, as we have another photobomb opportunity as the balloon comes drifting around. We continue to have a fabulous day. Balloons heading to the south and a little bit southwest when they come off the field, and then they climb up a few hundred feet and very slowly drift back to the north. So definitely the box wind pattern in effect this morning. There's a view from our north camera. Lower right-hand corner, the yellow and blue with the red darts. Sandia Sunrise 2. My friends Barbara Fricke and Peter Cuneo. Not only flying hot air here, but are scheduled to fly in the America's Challenge race, which we have a briefing at noon today. We hope that we'll be able to get them launched tonight. And we were talking. They were here one year, and they managed to stand them up. Actually, they planned it. They stand the balloons up, holding hands. They take off. They give each other a big kiss. Well, you know what that leads to? The next year, we were back with the baby bee, Joelle. Yeah, that's exactly what happens there. There's Cosmos, our little astronaut boy, being inflated on the far north end of the field as well. So again, we have 104 special shapes here, almost all of them participating all week, about 15 or so of them that are here just for the four special event days. That is Thursday and Friday. We have what we call a rodeo in the morning, where we'll stand them all up, and many of them will fly, and then a glodeo Thursday and Friday night, where we feature our special shapes in a balloon glow. There's a nice shot up. You see the top of the banner that goes on each of our balloon baskets, signifying that they are registered with the Balloon Fiesta. And we just see the tip of the number there, but we're looking up through the burners to what the sky looks like up above. And more balloons just flying away. So as I said, we'll see how many more of these actually get airborne. But I suspect that many of them will actually be staying on the ground at this point, opting to give us a static display, which is really kind of fun as well. You get a chance to get up close to the basket, get that shot in the looking up in the balloon, have an opportunity to get your picture taken, maybe with the burner going off, and be able to collect those balloon cards as well.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I was just chatting with our friends from Canon Cameras. Didn't realize I had my mic on.
That's all right.
So, you were saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, I've been talking about all the opportunities for those balloons that are staying on the ground for folks to be able to go collect their trading cards, which is a good time to mention that Balloon Fiesta Live has its own own trading cards as well. So if you see some of our crew out there, some of our mobile cameras, great folks from Windfire Productions that are helping us out here, or Ruth or Kim out there in the field, or you find us, or stop by our studio or our control room trailer, which is down here on the south end of the field, we'll be happy to hook you up with.
Well, and I was
one of the trading cards.
Offset trading pins with.
Oh, you got the Canon pin?
I have the Canon pin. Yes.
Oh, see.
Yes. I have my Canon camera here with me, and yep. So doing a little pin trading on the side here, and talking with Nancy Abruzzo, who's here on the tower with us right now.
And we'll be talking with her shortly.
Just shortly. Bill Hughes is also here. We'll be talking with them again about the new film. And yeah, I think I'm going to go to the premiere on Monday evening.
And we also pointed out while you were talking that the bees have arrived.
Oh, okay. Great.
And so they are out
See, you
there
step off set for just a minute and you miss all kinds of funny things.
You miss all kinds of
exciting things.
Yep.
Not funny, but exciting things.
Exciting things. Well, we got to take care of that. And I pointed out that my friends Barbara and Peter, we saw their balloon on the ground and they're now airborne. I think that's Airageous, the one that's on the screen right now.
Yeah?
No, that's oh, there goes Jupiter Man off the north end of the field. We got a shot of the little dog in the sky. We talked about Saxon. The saxophone had a nice side angle shot from
I was just about to say, is that a new shape down? And then I realized that was Saxon that we're seeing down there.
Depending on the angle you see that, it looks totally different.
It does. Well, in fact, I thought it was some kind of a new fish shape.
Yes.
When I was looking at it, because we're seeing it from the behind side, or from actually the side if you play the saxophone, the side that you would be playing. The reed is at the top here, but from here it looked something like maybe some kind of a whale shape or something, and I thought, well, I was thinking to myself, is that a new special shape? And I was just about to ask you, and then I realized, no, wait, that's just, see, there it is.
Right. And so this profile shot, we actually have a different profile shot as well. I think we might be able to get. You really can't see the saxophone shape in all of it.
Right. Yeah. See, there's a different view of it.
That's the one I was talking about.
And so from different angles, it looks different, obviously. And I wasn't quite sure what it was until it finally dawned on me that was.
Now look who's photobombing.
Yeah.
It has definitely been a day for that.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah.
A lot of that going on.
So we've still got some ballooning action here, and I think these guys are going to hang around a little bit up there as well. And I'm seeing the balloons up high. Actually, looks like they're starting to get a little bit of an east, so the box is kind of shifting around a little bit up there.
A lot of close quarters up there in some cases.
And up there, a whole lot of light variable.
And I've lost sight of Tall Steve. He never has come by the tower this morning. Dadgummit. Andrew, we're losing faith in you, buddy, wherever you are. But speaking of pilots who flew early this morning, Ruth Lynn has caught up with Sherry White, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Touchstone Energy Cooperative's balloon program, has been operating that program for a number of years, a whole fleet of balloons that they have. Sherry's also the immediate past president of the Balloon Federation of America and will be flying in the gas balloon race, the America's Challenge. So, Ruth, I'm not quite sure where you are on the field, but let's go down to Ruth and Sherry White.
Well, Glenn, we're standing right here behind Sherry's balloon truck, so you can't see us, but I'm here with Sherry. You took away my introduction.
Sorry.
But that's okay. We're talking today about Touchstone Energy. And Sherry, you started that program quite a long time ago. What has it meant for the company to be involved in ballooning to this extent?
Well, Touchstone Energy, we go to farm shows, annual meetings, have a really good time with the balloons.
What parts of the country does Touchstone serve?
It's actually, I think it's in about 44 states. A lot of it's in the Midwest. A lot of people don't remember, but back when electricity started, it was in the big cities, and the farmers didn't have electricity, so they all got together, put $10, $20 in, and they paid to get the lines to their community. So they were the members of their electric co-op, and that
I have to say, in my 35, 40 years as a BFA member, you are one of the best presidents we've ever had. So thank you so much, Sherry.
Thank you, Ruth. It's been a pleasure. This is my 40th year flying, so it's a wonderful year this year. Thanks.
It has been. Thank you. Back up to you, Glenn and Art.
Thanks, Ruth. And I would echo, and did when I spoke with Sherry just the other night, I told her I had the privilege as editor of Ballooning Magazine to work with Sherry for her years on the board, and I agree. She has been, was one of the best presidents that we've had in recent history of the organization. She especially had a great focus on youth and getting youth involved in the sport, which continues to be an issue I know she likes to champion. And yeah, well done, Sherry. And we'll miss having you on the board, but she's going to do some consulting with us, stay around. She's not leaving the BFA by any means, so glad to have her as a part of our organization. And the Touchstone program is one of the most successful in the country, so good for them as well.
So we talked earlier this morning about a new film that is out, Wind Riders, and we talked with the director, Emmy. Now we've got some of the folks who were involved in that show from the other side. We've got John Davis, Nancy Abruzzo, and Bill Hughes.
Do we have to have John?
Well, no, we can just let him stand there.
I love you, John. Love you.
Step a little closer. Step a little closer here, folks. So Bill, we see you in the film here. What was it like being part of the production?
It took quite a while. We worked, I guess, 4 or 5 years that worked with Emmy. You know how it is with weather and the balloons. You know, we always didn't get to fly when we wanted to, and keep on schedule. But Emmy was great to work with. I enjoyed her, and the cameramen people she had, and that we all had a great time. So I just had a lot of fun with it.
So she was telling us that she was inspired by the Jonathan Livingston Seagull deal,
Yeah.
and that you had that connection as well.
Yeah, well, that was my balloon, Seagull, which was a blue balloon with white seagulls around it, and that was actually the second iteration of that balloon. Wore out the first one, and now I've worn out the second one.
Yeah, so is there a third one?
No, there isn't. No, I've retired as of October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so what message do you think is in that film from the hot air side or from your side of the film?
Well, the Jonathan Livingston Seagull book, was all about, your reach should exceed your grasp. Go out and try new things. Do things out of the ordinary. Go for it. And I think that's ballooning has that spirit too.
It's interesting because I enjoyed that book too, and I haven't thought about it in years until we just discussed it with its relationship with this film, and I'm wondering if that's one of those books that you would think has a lasting message, but it seemed to have its heyday at that one point in time, and really kind of has forgotten now. It's sitting on my bookshelf, and I just haven't thought about it in years.
Yeah, Richard Bach hasn't had anything nearly as successful as that was.
That's
since,
true.
But he's
Yeah.
still a good writer. He writes some good stuff.
And it was actually made into a film as well.
Yeah.
Not maybe necessarily the best movie I've ever seen,
Yeah,
but still. But the book has a great inspirational message.
Yeah, it's a feel-good book.
It is.
It is. I think it really is. It makes you feel good.
That's what I think. And I guess I bring that up because I think maybe some younger people today should go back and be reading that book.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be something that would
It
maybe
shouldn't just
introduce
apply
you
to
it.
people of our generation,
Yeah.
So Bill represents the hot air side of the film.
does.
Representing the gas side, because this brings both of those gas balloons in here as well. The story, the film chronicles Richard Abruzzo and Carol Reimer Davis.
Right.
We have Nancy Abruzzo and John Davis here. So how was it to go through the filming of that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it happened so long ago that it's nice to get those memories back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've seen the film now. What do you think of the film?
I think that Amy did a spectacular job with it. She caught a lot of the brotherhood, family that is involved in ballooning, and we went through some difficult times, and the family helped us. The family was there to help us, and the balloonists are all a wonderful group of people.
We lost Carol and Richard, of course, in a tragic ballooning accident. Was it difficult for the two of you to go through the process of having this film made and now seeing it come to life?
For me, no. Nancy would have to answer differently or agree, but I think it helped, and it gave me a place to go sometimes.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I think it does.
Just a little closer.
Thank you. Usually it's the opposite. It stirs up the emotions that, of course, we carry with us. But it's been a gift to see the joy that Richard had flying balloons and living his passion, and seeing Carol and Rich together. That's a gift that we've been given, to have that, to always come back to, as John said. It really is a special thing to have.
And now I think it has to be exciting that their story will be shared, because enough time has passed that there's a whole new generation coming into the ballooning family that didn't know them personally as we had the pleasure of knowing.
Right.
And so they'll begin to learn the story of what Carol and Richard accomplished and what their flights were all about.
Well, and hopefully through seeing the documentary, it might plant a seed for the next generation to get involved in either the hot air side of ballooning, and the gas ballooning is is a form of flight that not many people are familiar with. So it highlights that, and hopefully we get that next generation intrigued.
Let's hope so.
Well, I was going to say, I think both Carol and Richard, and with Bill as well, I think there is that inspiration there that is expressed through this film. I've had the pleasure of seeing it, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's a wonderful film, and it covers a whole bunch.
It does.
It does. And I don't think that when Emmy did this, she knew it was going to cover more than what it was.
Right?
And,
it was.
So I think that the job that she did with that, and was pulling together a difficult situation.
Exactly.
And made it better.
So it had its first premiere, I think, in New York. You were there in May, and of course we're bringing it here to Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's going to premiere at the Chemo Theater downtown on Monday, show again on Tuesday, and I believe on Wednesday, and also then it moves over to the Balloon Museum for 2 afternoons.
Balloon Museum, yes.
So there's lots of opportunities to see this here. And as we mentioned before when we talked to Emmy, she would love to talk to people to get it distributed worldwide and get it up online somehow too. A whole lot of screens, and whether they're small screens or big screens for folks to see that. Anything, and if you wanted to add to about this?
Just thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for coming up and sharing the story.
I mean, thank you for having us up here. It's always a pleasure to see you guys. And
well,
thank
it's
you
always
for
a
doing
pleasure
your
to see
job for
Nancy
the Festa,
anyway.
too. I love that job too. No, you guys are great.
And thanks to Bill for coming up here as well. We appreciate it. And Bill, thanks for telling the story. Thank you all. Thanks for being here. Bill's a past member of the Board of Directors of Balloon Federation, so he and I had a chance to work together. And John, of course, I've known forever. John and Carol were very instrumental in a change in my attitude about the Balloon Federation of America. There was a time when I was somewhat anti that organization, and we had a conversation. I'm sure John remembers it, where he and Carol pulled me aside here at Balloon Fiesta and said, you can either be a part of the problem or you can be a part of the solution. And I'm about to start my 20th year as editor of Ballooning Magazine, which is the publication of the Balloon Federation of America. So thank you, sir, for helping to set me right and get me on the right path. I appreciate it very much.
Well, when I was learning to fly, John was a designated pilot examiner, and he's the guy that gave me my check ride. And I always tell the story that we were packing up the balloon. I've been through the ride. He's put me through the paces here. I'm doing all the things. I think I'm doing pretty good. We're packing up the balloon, and he calls over the instructor and me, and he says, let the crew finish packing up. Come on over here. And he hands me this pink piece of paper, and he says, have you ever seen one of these? And I read across the top, and it says, notice of disapproval. And I start living through the flight. What did I do wrong? What did I screw up here? And I had to look at him sheepishly, and I said, no. And he grabbed it out of my hand. He says, you don't need to worry about it, and handed me the approval page as well. So he had me going on that one. So, and actually, I got the other story about John is I actually got started with Balloon Fiesta with him as well. He was the president of the board of directors of Balloon Fiesta. I had interviewed him and our balloon maestro, Charlotte Kinney, on the Thursday for our public service program. On Friday, I got fired. So Friday afternoon, I came out here and I said, hey, John, I don't have a job. You need some help for something? And he hooked me up with the media committee. And that was back in like 81, I think it was, or 82. Yeah, we are, unfortunately. Well, you are, anyway. I like that. Good one. So I've been out here ever since.
It's beat up on John Day.
It is.
Well, and I met this lovely lady through her husband, who was a great friend of mine, and I met Richard and Troy right after they had come back from the transatlantic flight when they landed over in Egypt. We were at Favia over in the East Coast, and I was there representing Balloon Life magazine at the time. And they've been great friends ever since. And Troy had a great line Friday evening as Paulo Bonanno was being inducted into the Hall of Fame when he said, I thought about you every day for a week during that flight, because it was Paulo's burners that powered those balloons across the Atlantic Ocean. And it was so astounding to meet Richard and Troy right after that flight. And Richard and I became great friends after that. We miss him dearly.
And I met Richard on one of the early First America's Challenge balloon flights out of here, because again, back to my first connection here, I became the media liaison for our first American Challenge.
And talking about being old, Nancy, as we were talking offset just earlier, made the comment that Mary Pat is now a senior in college.
Whoa.
And I met her when she was just, a little bitty tyke, and it's like, okay, thank you, Nancy. I now feel almost as old as John.
And you know Bill for a while. I just met him today.
I've known Bill for a number of years.
I feel like I know him after watching the film, and so it's good to put a face and
I've not seen the film, but Nancy was just kind enough to invite me to the premiere on Monday, so we don't have a Monday night gig, so I think I've got plans now.
If we don't launch gas balloons on Monday night, I will plan to be there as well. So I'm hoping we get the gas balloons, the 23rd America's Challenge out tonight.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Because I'd like to make that premiere. I'd love to see the film.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you all for coming up again.
Really,
great chatting with you as well. Okay.
Always good to see great friends under any circumstances.
Thank you. Thank you
good
very much.
See you, Bill.
All right. Bye-bye, dear. Okay, we'll see you around. Thank you,
dear.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Good to see you, John. You know I love you, man. You too, buddy.
What a great
That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah. That was fun.
I can't wait to see the film, too. Anxious to do that.
So while we were talking there, because I'm looking back at the Facebook feed here, and I noticed that we just had a great shot of a balloon landing.
Well, I was going to say, we've had some, because I see Gary Haven has landed.
There comes another one right now.
Pat Fogg has landed the INTS balloon there.
Yep.
And there's the three Hartzels are back on the field as well.
Oh, they sure are.
The three of them together. They took off together and have landed together. And over on the west side there is... from Rancho Cucamonga is Dale Long. He's landing. And here comes Johnny Petrin in the cannon balloon.
Well, Henry told us that the balloons would be coming back.
Once the field was clear, they would be boxing back and landing here. And surely they are.
The idea is once you get everyone that's going to launch launched, then that they open the field for landings.
Right.
So that's, So we'll get to be able to see that process of now the deflation side. The balloons coming in, and you'll see the pilot with one hand on the burner and the other hand on the vent, little heat, little vent, just maneuvering the balloon gently back down into the loving arms of Mother Earth.
Yes, that's kind of like we were doing yesterday. North side, south side, north side, south side. Heat, vent.
Yeah, that's it. So we want to remind you, although I'm not sure the PA is working on Main Street again today, that if you're out there where the balloons are coming in, do not get in front of the balloon. Let the crew go ahead and take care of that. If the pilot needs your help, he'll ask for it. But for the most part, it's such a nice day, they should be able to land that. Never get in front of the balloon or the direction the balloon is moving towards. If you do grab on from the side or the back. If the balloon were to go back up in the air, if your feet leave the ground, you need to let go.
It's hard to tell sometimes. I know they told us last night the PA was working along Main Street and the stage area. But now that we use these broadcast headsets, we really can't. In the old days, when it was just Tommy and I, and in the first year or two, you and I were up here together, we're using hand mics, and we could hear the PA. And now that we're using these broadcast headsets, we hear the feed, and really can't tell if the PA system on the field is working. But we are really announcing to two crowds. We're talking obviously to those folks that are viewing from around the world on Balloon Fiesta Live, but our audio feed is also carried over the public address system to the tens of thousands of spectators who are here at Balloon Fiesta live and in person, as opposed to watching Balloon Fiesta live on their computer screen or on channel 28 or wherever they may be viewing us from, their tablet, or on connected speakers and devices or whatever that line is they say nowadays on all those electronic commercials.
And I'm watching Johnny Petrin bring the cannon balloon in, and I noticed that he has a direction to the southeast a little bit, which is something we saw very early this morning. Then it went away, and then it was shining it right back in. Yeah. Got a nice shot of the basket there where we can kind of see that little finesse of a little burner, a little vent process of coming down. And the crew just grabbing onto the handles, stopping the forward motion of the balloon, putting their weight on. The extra weight means the balloon the envelope doesn't lift it as well. And so they are stopped almost dead center of the field, Johnny Petrin and the cannon balloon. And Lottie Dottie Chicken coming in for a landing as well, a little bit farther to the west of the field. And Ruth has managed to grab us another interview. Ruth Lind on the field for us. Ruth?
Hi, Glenn. I'm here with Phil Thompson, the owner of Lindstrand Balloons USA. Phil, how many years have you been coming to Albuquerque just as a pilot?
This is my 36th year, consecutive year as a pilot. First year was 1984, and probably be another 4 or 5 minimum before I give this up.
Well, now you're here with your balloon company and you have your exhibit here on the field. Why are you here with the company? I mean, what is your exposure to pilots at this event as opposed to being out in the world in your normal marketing methods?
Well, of course, there's no place else you can go and see this many pilots in a 10-day period. We don't actually, rarely, I would say, we sell a balloon from this display, but this is where we meet the customers that we expect to sell to over the next year. And the object is to generate work, of course, to carry us through the winter. We are in Illinois, not a lot of ballooning activity where we live through the winter months.
And why should people come to visit Lindstrand Balloons? What sets you apart from the rest?
I think we have probably a reputation as some of the best quality. Particularly, we do a lot of the commercial logoed balloons more than just sport and ride balloons. That's sort of our specialty. And this is a chance for you to go up and down the row here and compare 5 manufacturers side by side. This is the only place I know that happens also. And it's good to show our product next to their neighbors because you can see what the quality is and where the quality might not be.
That's very true, and I have to say I flew Lindstrand balloons for years until I retired from active flying, and I loved them with a passion. It's just a tremendous product.
We're proud of what we build, and we've been at this and the Lindstrand name since 1994, and about 750 balloons so far out of our shop in Galena, Illinois. So we're proud of what we do.
Well, we are so glad you're here with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Glenn and Art, we'll send it back up to you.
Thanks, Ruth, and say hi to Phil. Hi, Phil, and his lovely wife Lisa. When you see them, we'll go down and see them at the tower, at their display at some point this afternoon or today. And Lisa's always been after me about, I don't travel with my 2 new kittens. Bailey traveled with me, and Phil and Lisa had met Bailey many times, traveling on the road together. But the new kittens stay at home, and Lisa's been after me. She was beating up on me pretty good online about just do it, just bring them. And I said, well, no, just bring them. But the kitty cat stayed at home. I think Phil and Lisa travel with theirs, though, or at least one of theirs.
Trying to see who that is dropping in. It's on the other side of the balloons where
Which balloon are you looking for?
I was looking at this. It's obviously from our north end here, so I can't see them for the balloons that are here. Just had the Desert Viking drop in right in front of us, and I think that's part of what why I can't see the one that we just saw on the feed there. The wind has started to pick back up again right here.
Just a little bit. I see, looks like Puddles is landing at the north end there, one of the penguin balloons. The Armadillo has landed down there as well. As well.
Remax is coming in.
Yep.
Kathy's Hope is making it back this way.
Pico is high above us. I just looked right over our head from St. Jean-sur-Richelieu. There's Bimbo. Osito Bimbo is still out there. There comes Splash, the other of the 2 penguins. By the way, quick shout out to my friend Louise Moore if you're watching over in the UK from Exclusive Ballooning. She and her, she's normally here with Andrew, and especially with the entire Longlead fleet being here, but Louise gave birth to her first child, beautiful Grace Rose, and so she's still at home on maternity leave. But we miss you, Lou, and wish you were here, but know that you're doing well with your new wee family at home.
So our launches have concluded. Now it's a matter of landing.
What goes up must come down. And so they're beginning to come down. This has gone by very quickly this morning. I expected to be we're not even at 9 o'clock yet, if my watch is right. And so this has actually happened very, very fast.
But if you think about it, we put the first balloon up Well, Dawn Patrol
just after 6 a.m.
went just after 6.
Yeah,
we
so
started
3
our mass
hours.
ascension in the balloon of the day right at 6:45.
Yeah.
So we are 2 hours.
It's 2 hours.
We have been flying for 2 hours, and flight. Of course, with the wave, not everyone's been up 2 hours.
I guess after yesterday, when we tethered on the field for what seemed like an eternity in the fog,
right?
Our show was done by 9 o'clock.
3 hours and 45 minutes,
Yeah.
48 minutes yesterday.
Seems a little. I just expected it to be later in the day.
Well, our launch directors did a great job of getting everybody that needed to get up and out.
Well, the good thing about being, I'm sorry, I'm starting to yawn again.
Am I boring you?
No, I need some oxygen. I'm at this high altitude and gotta suck in some oxygen.
There you go.
My brain, which isn't functioning very well all the time anyway. No, I was just going to say, though, that the good thing, the nice thing about wrapping up a little earlier today than we did yesterday is that gives me some time to hop on the golf cart and go make a run down Main Street and say hello to some of the vendors that I know, meet some of the new ones, see what's on display there, run by the Canon tent, have my cameras looked at, say hello to some friends there, and just go out and do a little bit of socializing, because ballooning is, in the final analysis, a very social sport.
Very family and socially. You mentioned,
so
we heard from our folks earlier.
By the vendor tents to go say hi to Lisa over at Lindstrand Balloons, and our friends from Ultra Magic are here, and Andy Baird and his team are here from Cameron, so get to go by and see a lot of friends up and down Main Street, balloonist and otherwise.
You betcha. So I just saw Dustin Howell, we saw it on the screen, bring his balloon High Cirrus in for a nice landing. And here's one of those baskets that's missing a corner. I could say that now. Most baskets are rectangular, and so therefore there are 4 corners. But there is a brand, whether it's Barnes, Balloon Works, Firefly. It's been through a number of names that are actually triangular baskets.
Yeah, and of course
we always tease those people about them missing a corner.
And those balloons were designed by
Tracy Barnes,
the late great Tracy Barnes, who just passed away not too long ago. As a matter of fact, we talked about today being a memorial flight, and didn't mention, and certainly should have, that Tracy also being well remembered today. Tracy developed not only the triangular basket as he was building what was then Barnes balloons, and is perhaps most well remembered in the sport of ballooning for the invention of the parachute top, and for his incredible generosity that he never patented, never trademarked it, I should say, so that the parachute top is available and is used by virtually every balloon manufacturer in the world. It is basically the standard go-to in form of deflation ports, maneuvering vents in balloons. There are other styles, but probably 95% or better of the ballooning world uses a parachute top. And that's all thanks to Tracy Barnes' design. And you heard Ruth Lind when she was talking with the Wiedeker family this morning about how they had a conversation with Tracy Barnes when he was first developing the parachute top. So Tracy, the father of the triangular basket, and I'd always heard the story.
And a lot of other innovations with balloons.
Quite a few,
yeah. Even the way the fabric is sewn across.
Well, it was all about safety for him. His baskets, not only are they missing in a corner, as you like to say, but the wicker is also woven vertically as opposed to horizontally, which is the standard in all the other baskets. And part of that was he didn't want anything that would snag and catch a balloon if it struck power lines. And the idea was that with the vertical weave, the wicker running up and down, it would slide off the line. Tracy was way ahead of his time in the world of safety development, and probably is underappreciated for what he contributed in some ways to the sport, but as I say, best remembered for the parachute top, which is just literally the standard of excellence and continues to be to this day.
It's kind of the default top.
It is the default top
really
in maneuvering vent in all of ballooning, and it was to his great credit that he didn't make that a proprietary piece of equipment that only his balloons could have. He shared it with the ballooning world.
So you talked a few moments ago about heading down to Main Street along Concession Row. One of the other things you can do while you're down there, starting up in just about 2 minutes, the Air Force Academy Band is going to be performing on our main street stage.
Fortunately, I haven't played trombone since college, so I don't think I'll have to sit in.
No, you won't have to sit in, but you can certainly go sit out and enjoy some great music from the Air Force Academy Band. They'll be starting up there in just a moment or so.
A long tradition of having, the Air Force has a number of music groups, a number of different bands, just like we were talking about. Fast Tracks is a big team with a lot of smaller skydiving teams that perform all around the country. The United States Air Force has a number of musical groups, bands, etc., that travel the country and perform, and we've had a number of them here through the years. They're always quality musicians, and so yeah, that would be fun to do if you're down by the main stage.
And we didn't get it on our camera feed here. We were just talking about Tracy Barnes and the parachute top. The other top that is really interesting to watch is the Adams pop top.
Yeah, I just saw that one.
Yeah, you saw that one. Yeah, well, he just deflated over here.
And there was one that deflated yesterday. We were talking about, and I was going to point out to you. We were talking.
I think it was the same balloon. I think it's Bill Dimmitt. He was over on the west side yesterday, and he was over on the east side today.
I did a couple of training flights in an Adams pop top balloon, and I could remember one time popping the top, and the balloon literally donuted all around us. It was so calm that the balloon just fell straight out of the sky, and the pop top is a really great quick deflation port.
So there's a great shot of the parachute top. You can see how that color, the lighter color as opposed to the stripes, is being held in. The pop top, when they open it, the ring is holding it together, and the opening is from the center, and it just opens up, and the hot air goes out that entire hole all at the same time, versus around the parachute of the parachute.
Pull the parachute down into the center of the balloon, and the air rushes out around it.
Can we go back to that shot, Steve? Because actually he's doing it. There it is. You see the side, the upper left-hand side is actually starting to be pulled open.
Right.
And so on a parachute top, that's where the hot air is being let out of.
And that's what we were talking about yesterday, where when you first inflate the balloon, you put that in place. I always liken it to the cork in a bottle. You put it in place with Velcro tabs, and then you cold inflate the balloon and you stand it up. But then there's a rope that runs from that parachute top down to the basket that the pilot can activate, and you can actually then open and close that valve in flight to vent or let a little hot air out of the top of the balloon if you need to, and it will seal itself. You don't have to worry about the Velcro then. It seals itself back in via air pressure. The pressure inside the balloon just holds it back up in place.
So what's interesting in this shot is he's only got part of the top open. I'm wondering if this is maybe an old spring top.
Spring top, perhaps?
That's what I'm wondering. So on that, it's kind of a combination of all these tops we've been talking about, if you will. There's a piece that's sewn in, there's a piece that's being held in with some clips, and then there's the parachute piece.
Yeah,
but that's what it looks like. It looks like
it's one of the Raven spring tops or Aerostar spring tops.
Yep.
Which is a little bit different, but it works on the same
principle. Yep.
Yeah, you see a variety of some of that technology here on the different balloons that we have.
Well, it's like everything else, everyone's got the better idea. And sometimes it's just, I learned on this system, so that's the one I know, and I wouldn't do anything else.
There's a shot of the parachute.
A full parachute.
Yeah, full parachute top. That balloon is displayed. You see the big hole that's opened up in the top of the balloon there, and the parachute will have been pulled down into the center of the balloon.
You can see it floating down in there.
Inside there, yeah. And that allows all the hot air to escape out the top of the balloon and for the balloon to deflate.
Actually, back on the other one, looks like they finally pulled more of the top out on that other one.
Well, and then there's remember the old Velcro rip tops?
Oh, yeah.
Way back.
Yes.
Where the entire top was put in with just one long stream of Velcro, and once you pulled it, you were done. There wasn't any resealing on some of those. Plus, you had to go around. I can remember one of the first balloons I crewed for had the old rip top, and you had to go around after the flight, and you either did it when you were inflating or you did it after as you were packing up, because you had to reseat that Velcro all the way around the entire parachute top. Or it wasn't a parachute top, but all the way around the piece of fabric, that plug of fabric, if you will.
Yep. And you started at the load lines, and then you caught the middle, and then you kept doing the middle. It wasn't just start at one end and go around.
No,
you had to keep because
there was a system the way it had to be done.
Yep.
Oh, it was quite tedious, quite honestly.
It was. I didn't. Then actually, I think I flew one of those one time, but I never owned one of those.
I never flew
crewed a
one,
few times
but
on
I
them.
crewed for one a few times.
Yeah. So, but it's all the different systems, and of course the burners are much more powerful and much less noisy these days than in the early days.
We honored on Friday at the FAI Hall of Fame inducted Paulo Bonanno, who is the designer of the Scirocco burner, which is probably state-of-the-art in the burner world right now. And as we were saying, it was his burners that powered the balloons that flew the Chrysler Transatlantic race back in the day. And it was great. His acceptance speech was just wonderful. One of the he put everybody at ease when he first went up, and because he's Italian and he doesn't speak expert English, though his opening line was, "My English is not so good; it's a disaster." Well, it was far from a disaster. He's quite the charming man, and one of the other lines I remember from his speech, at some point when he would get flustered, he would say, "I prefer to make burner, not speech." But he's world famous for his development work on burners, and well deserving to be in the International Ballooning Hall of Fame, which is housed over in the Anderson and Abruzzo Albuquerque International Balloon Museum, otherwise known locally as just the Balloon Museum.
And actually a totally separate entity from Balloon Fiesta.
It is.
Which is
in close proximity. It's just right out the south main gate here. And it's a world-class ballooning museum, and certainly worth a visit if you are here in person in Albuquerque.
It's kind of like everything is semi-connected here, and probably maybe the common denominator is the city of Albuquerque, because Balloon Fiesta Park is a city park.
It is.
Year-round. Balloon Fiesta leases the park for 60 days. We take possession of the park, if you will, on the day after Labor Day, and we have it through the end of October. So we build this city here in less than a month, or about a month, and then we have less than a month to actually tear it back down again. The rest of the year, we're in an office that just happens to be about a half a mile away.
Right.
And the park itself extends quite a ways to the south. It's got ball fields in it and all other kinds of things as well. And the Balloon Museum is a city museum, which, of course, is on park property as well.
The city of Albuquerque, through the years, has been such a great supporter for the sport of ballooning. And it's interesting, though, this is a multi-dimensional park, as you're talking about. I was chatting with one of the FAA folks here last evening prior to the Glow, and he was telling me that Highland Games are held here. The Scottish Highland Games are held here.
There are all kinds of things held here
in the park, and I had no idea that they had anything like that even here in Albuquerque, much less here on Balloon Fiesta Park, or what we call Balloon Fiesta Park, for the 2 weeks that the 9 days that we're out here.
So Ruth Lind is caught up with our photo bomber of the day out there.
The new exclusive cup champion,
Johnny Petrin, flying the cannon balloon for us. Take it away, Ruth.
Yes, Canon, as you know, is our presenting sponsor, and I'm here with John Petrin, the pilot of their head balloon. John is everywhere. We see the Canon balloon everywhere we look, day and night. John, talk to us about the relationship between Canon and Balloon Fiesta and what that means to them as a company.
You know, it's such a natural fit. Hot air balloons, it's the most beautiful thing I can think of to take a picture of. And Canon has come in and become so involved with Balloon Fiesta. I believe this is our 5th year that we've been here with the Canon balloon, and it's just a match made in heaven.
It totally is. And I understand that Canon has tents all over the field where people can rent cameras for a day or borrow cameras for a day.
Yeah, it would be great for everybody to stop by. There's all kinds of products to see, to try, to demonstrate. You can also make appointments to have your equipment cleaned and checked. So it's just pretty phenomenal what they've got. They've got a neat photo op inside the Canon display. You can stand in a basket and then take your picture. So there's a lot of stuff to see, touch, and feel in there.
How do you manage it? Flying morning, glowing in the evening, everything that you do here. You're also the assistant event director for the America's Challenge Gas Balloon Race. How do you manage to keep your energy up all week long?
You know, we think about Balloon Fiesta all year long, so when you get here, the adrenaline kicks in, and it's just so fun. Every time we get the balloon out of the bag, and the kids smile and they run up and touch it, and it's so fun to show the balloon off, to show our company colors off, and so energy's not a problem.
I totally understand. John, thank you for joining us this morning. We'll send it back up to the booth with Glenn and Art.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, John. We're going to have to go kid John and show him those pictures that he kept photobombing on us there as well.
Yeah, and as we said, Johnny is fresh back from England, where he won the Exclusive Cup in the 20th year of the Exclusive Cup from Exclusive Ballooning, which just adds to his competitive prowess. Johnny is a two-time world champion. He's been ranked as the number 1 competitive pilot in the world, so Canon could not have made a better choice of pilots. Yeah. Plus, he's from probably the number 1 family in ballooning, the Petrin family. His dad, of course, one of the first to attempt an around-the-world balloon flight, and so many brothers and sisters that are pilots. I can't keep track of all of them, but there's a bunch of them out there.
Pico down in the trees there, but we have a number of balloons in the sky, quite a few still. They are probably all starting to say, it's about time to find a landing spot.
It's getting to be that time of day. We've seen several of the balloons coming back and landing here on the field, as we knew they would once all the launches were concluded.
And I think we may, everyone who's coming back to the field has made it here. Everyone else is drifting off to the west and the south and be finding spots out there.
Now we come to that part of the sport known as tailgating, which is always fun. Unlike, for example, in football, when fans show up at the stadium and tailgate.
It was one of the very long days used for tailgating out here.
Yeah.
We have a balloon glow scheduled for tonight, so you tailgate throughout the afternoon, and next thing you know, it's balloon glow time, and we're hoping to be able to get the America's Challenge gas balloon event off this evening as well.
We are indeed. And for members of the Balloon Federation of America, we have our annual general meeting coming up at 11 o'clock, where the BFA presents many of its annual awards. We introduce the new new members of the board of directors, and so that'll be happening at 11 o'clock this morning over in the...
Another reason to tailgate out.
Yeah, over in the Sid Cutter Pilot Pavilion. And so I'm going to probably just kill a couple of hours between now and then by going over onto Main Street and saying hello to some of the vendors, and probably end up spending some money while I'm there. I seem to have a habit of
City of Albuquerque, Balloon Fiesta, and the state of New Mexico. Thanks you for spending your tourist money here.
You're more than welcome. Yeah, we those folks from us from Texas and elsewhere like to come here and spend a little money. So it's like Sid Cutter always said, I know there's money in ballooning because I put it there.
That's it. That was a famous phrase of Sid.
Yeah.
So with that, actually, as we said, no one's going to make it back to the field. Well, there might be one more here, but I think it's still time for us to put a fork in it and call it done for this morning.
I think so. We can wrap this one up and then start getting our production crew ready to go for tonight's balloon glow, and hopefully for the launch of the America's Challenge gas balloon race. They have a briefing at noon, so we'll know more about their plans, and thus our plans. We'll know what time to have a crew call for this afternoon.
That's it. We'll definitely be here at 6:30 Mountain Time tonight.
Yep.
For the glow, and that will probably be a good time to tune in if we're going to do the America's Challenge as well. So I think it's going to line up nicely for us. So thank you for joining us here on Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO, a subsidiary of Exxon Mobil. And boy, we had great balloon cam footage from the XTO balloons this morning as well.
Yeah, some of those aerial views were incredible. And it was just a Chamber of Commerce day.
It was. And it looks like it should be for the rest of the week as well.
Let's hope so. So yeah, glad that everybody tuned in, and come back and join us at 6:30 this evening as we continue on with Balloon Fiesta Live. We are powered by XTO, a subsidiary of Exxon Mobil.
For Glenn Moyer, I'm Art Lloyd Jr., all of our production crew. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight at 6:30.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO Energy, a subsidiary of Exxon.